Hello everyone, my name is Ankita Kiran Kale. I am present in front of you to give the presentation on the topic of a jolly jumper problem using the language of Python. So let's begin the video. Here are the content topics of our video, that is what is jolly jumper program, example of jolly jumper, source code explanation and the output of the program. So let's begin the video. So, what is Jolly Jumper program? A Jolly Jumper is a sequence of integers where the absolute difference between successive elements take on all the values from 1 through n minus 1, where n is the number of elements in the sequence with no duplicates. Here is the simple definition for our better understanding, that is stated below. A sequence of n integers is called a jolly jumper if the set of absolute difference between successive elements is exactly 1, 2, until the range of n minus 1. So basically jolly jumper program is the program that used when user gives the integers and the difference or range between the integers in a range of 1 or n minus 1, then it gives the output as the jolly. If not in a range of n minus 1 or 1, it gives the output as a not jolly. This is all is what stated in the problem. Now further, here is the example for our understanding, that is user provided the numbers that are 4, 1, 4, 2, 3. Now let's calculate difference between the each passing integer. So 1 minus 4 is equal to 3, 4 minus 2 is equal to 2, 2 minus 3 is equal to 1, 3 minus 4 is equal to 1. Here is the difference is in range of 3 to 1, which is the sequence of 1 difference, so it will give result as a jolly. Another example 1, 4, 2, 3. Here now let's calculate the difference between them. 4 minus 1 3, 2 minus 4 2, 3 minus 2 1 and 1 2. Here are the difference given in a format of 1 2 3. It is a in sequence of jolly, that's why it will give output as a jolly. We have studied the example of jolly sequence, but what if the sequence is not in a range of 1? So that's why now let's study the example of non-jolly. Here sequence provided by user is 1 3 5. Now let's calculate difference. 3 minus 1 2, 5 minus 3 2. Here a set of differences is 2, but what we accepted the difference was 1 and 2 because the range is 1. So here is the missing one, that has duplicate 2, and we mentioned prior that the difference must be in range of 1 and no duplicate values. That's why this example not comes in a jolly example, that's why it will give the result as a not jolly. So here is the source code that we implemented for getting the result and implement our jolly jumper program. Now let's study each step and the detailed explanation of the code. So let's begin. First step is user underscore input is equal to input enter space enter the numbers. This line asks the user to type some numbers separated by spaces like 4 1 4 2. Next line is values is equal to list in bracket map in bracket int user input dot split. This line turns string into a list of integers. Here now let's study the functions. The first function is split. Splits the input into words like in double inverted comma 4 comma double inverted 1, in double inverted 4 comma double inverted 2. It splits the number differently. Next function is map. Map turns each word into an integer. Next one is list, makes it list, that is in square bracket 4 comma 1 comma 4 comma 2 comma 3. Now the values we are having are 1, that are 4 1 4 2 3. Next line of code is n is equal to values in square bracket 0. The first number in the list tells how many numbers are in the sequence, so here n is equal to 4, which means the actual sequence is 1 4 2 3. The next value of our code is x is equal to empty square bracket. Here x is an empty list. It will be used to store the differences between the consecutive numbers. Now we are moving toward the functionary part. The first function is initialized in, that is our next line of code is def is jolly in bracket values comma 1. This defines a function that will check whether a sequence is jolly or not. The next line of our code is for I in range in bracket 1 comma n. This starts a loop from I is equal to 1 to I is equal to n minus 1. It looks at each pair of numbers in the sequence. The next line of code is d is equal to abstract in bracket values in square bracket I minus values in square bracket I minus 1. Here d is the absolute difference between two consecutive numbers. Example of values that we got are 4, 1, 4, 2, 3. So the sequence is 1, 4, 2, 3. Here 4 minus 1 difference gives 3. 2 minus 4 gives the difference of 2 and 3 minus 2 gives the difference of 1, which is in a range of 1. The next line of code is if d is equal to 0 or d is less than n minus 1 or d in x, return false. This line checks the three things, that are first one, d is equal to 0, that states that difference should not be 0. Second thing is d less than n minus 1, d greater than n minus 1, that states that difference must be between 1 and n minus 1. Third thing is d in x, it states that difference must not be repeated. If any of this is true, it's not jolly, so it will return as a false. The next line of code is x dot append in bracket d. If the difference is valid, store it in the list x. The next line of code is return true. If the loop finishes without problems, then the sequence is jolly. The final check of the code is if is jolly values n, it will print jolly, else it will print not jolly. This calls the function and prints jolly if it returns true. It will print not jolly if it returns false. So this is the overall deep explanation of our source code, that what are we initializing, what are the values, difference, and the functions that are split, map, list. So this is the overview of our code. Here is the final output that we have studied in our practical session. The user enter the space centered numbers, that is 1, 2, 3. Here is the difference of these integers are in a range of 1. That's why it will print jolly. The next example 3, 4, 6. Here also the difference is in a range of 1. That's why it will print jolly. The last example, here user provided the number of 364, which is not in a range of 1. That's why it will give the output as a not jolly. So this is all about the Jolly Jumper program. What is Jolly Jumper program, example of jolly, and the source code explanation. Hope this video finds out well. Thank you for watching.